Hello guys, Dejan here. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are going to paint Knight of the Holy Sepulcher for my military order army. But this time, compared to the last time, I'm going to do the blue armor with the airbrush. If you're still interested how to do the same armor with the paintbrush, I will just include the link in the top right section of this video. So you can skip the part when I airbrush the armor and then continue painting the rest of the model with the paintbrush. So without further ado, let's start. I primed the model with a few coats of the black and just sprayed a little white from the top just to have a feeling about the details of this model. Then I used the dark Prussian blue to base my base color for the blue armor. So I went around the model with a few little passes so that I got a good and even coverage so that you cannot actually see any black under it. For the second layer I mixed the blue-green with the dark Prussian blue. This is like a 50-50 mix, and this will be my base color for the blue armor panels. So in this step I'm going to go over the model and I will going to spray this paint over all the armor panels that I want to be blue. I will just focus this in 2 or 3 very thin layers with the airbrush so that I have a really nice tone of the color. For my first highlight, I'm going to mix a little of the white in the mix that I previously made, and this is going to be my first highlight. So I'm going to spray it on the armor panels that I want to be on the top, and that I want to see some highlights there. So this is going to be a really small highlight, so just focus on those areas from the top and just do little sprays. Try not to cover a big areas with this, so your spray needs to be really small and focused on the specific armor panels. And the last highlight will be done with the white. So this time the areas that are we covering is even smaller than before. But we are going to focus on the same areas just to make this highlight pop even more. And as you can see, you can already see a big difference from the first layer that we already did. And one more thing, when you spray white through the airbrush, after it is dried, it will look a little darker than it is the moment you spray it on the mini. So this is how the model looks like after the airbrushing stage. Now we are going to move to some brushworks. First, I'm going to use a pale blue, and I'm going to paint all the armor panels that I want to be white. So that I don't spend too much time later or highlight the wrong armor panels by mistake. So this is done with the 2 very thin layers. So I put this color on the wet palette, added a few drops of water, and then went once after this layer was completely dry, I did it a second time. The next step, I'm going to block as well red armor panels, and this is going to be done with the Evil Sunz Scarlet. So just be careful here when you're painting this, so you don't paint it over the ones that we painted blue, because it will be quite difficult to fix. The ones when we painted with the white, it's not that difficult to fix, so you can be relaxed there. Only thing is, like, I decided to paint all these red things that are inside the armor panels so that it will be easier later to paint over it. And then I proceeded to the black color, and I just painted the rest of the model, so actually everything else that I wanted to be black, so that from this stage I can start highlighting the model and putting some shadows in. Actually, there was one last thing to be done, and that is to paint all the leather straps and the holster for the gun. For this, I used the Rhinox Hide, and I painted it with two very thin coats. So this color was a little thicker from the bottle, so I put it on the wet palette, added few drops of water so that actually the paint flows better from my brush, and I just carefully painted these parts. Now it's time to make some shadows to the model. So I will mix 50-50% dark Prussian blue with the black, and I will add a few drops of water so that I make it like a wash consistency. So you will want to achieve like maybe that it looks like a consistency of milk. And then I'm going to outline all the shadow areas, so all the recesses that are inside you are going to paint with this. So this is really important because this is going to create and give a dimension to the model, so you will actually have all the shadows there. And now we are start applying our first highlights. I will start first with the white armor panels and cloth. So I will mix 50-50 white with pale blue, and this is going to be my first highlight. I'm going to apply this on all the flat areas and all the top of the folds of his cloth cape at the back. When you work on the flat armor panels, try not to go inside the recesses and just focus on the raised areas, so you can actually cover like 80-90% of the previous areas with this color. And our final highlight is going to be done with the white. So this is going to be done on the white armor panels, on the blue armor panels, and all the details that are going to be black. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do the edge highlight on all the possible sharp edges on this model. I'm going to trace all the sharp lines by using side of my brush wherever is that possible. When that is not possible, you're going to try it with the tip of your brush and try to make like a thin lines. So this is going really to combo really well with the shadows that we did before. So this highlight will totally complete the whole look of the model, so you will have all the highlights and the shadows together, and this will really tie everything. And I have to say, this will be a time-consuming process, so just take your time and then slowly go around the model and highlight everything. So you will see at the end it is quite rewarding to see the look of the model when everything is done properly. Since the red armor panels are really small and don't take a big part of this model, I'm going to do only one highlight on it, and it's going to be done with the orange fire. This is a small edge highlight, so same as before while we use the white, so just this time we are going to use the orange and just trace the sharpest edges of these little armor panels. You can also use it to highlight the LEDs that are also red on this model with this color. I will start working now on the gun barrels, and I will mix a Cavlary brown with a orange brown. This is going to be a 50-50 mix, and I'm just going to use it to paint the barrels of his gun. Since this color is like quite transparent, I applied two very thin coats until I was happy with the tone of the color and the coverage. And also I use this mix to start highlighting the leather straps and the holster of the gun that this model have. So I'm going to use a stippling technique, like I will use the tip of my brush and make a little scratches on all the edges of these leather straps. So now I will take orange brown and I will just paint these gun barrels with this color. Since we have a good undercoat, it's only one thin coat enough to have a good coverage. And then after that I'm going to use a Sepia ink from Vallejo just as a wash, and I'm going to wash the whole areas of these gun barrels, so this is going to create really nice shadows. Also, I will go all over the leather straps with this color, so it will unify all the scratches and it will make everything look naturally on the leather straps. For this little rope that he have on his tabard, I'm just going to use Aggaros Dunes contrast color, and I'm just going to apply one coat over it. Just be careful with the contrast paint not to spill it all around on the parts that we already painted. So just take one of your smallest brushes and do this detail. So after this there is nothing else needed to be done on this rope, because this will work as a shadow and a highlight at the same time. And I'm going to use a greedy gold just to paint this little cross that he have at the end of this rope. Since these details are really small, I won't do anything else on them. I will just leave them like this. Since meanwhile my gun barrels are dried now, I will go back to the orange brown and I will apply the first highlights. So I'm going to highlight only the raised areas of these gun barrels and the edges on the sides. And then for the last step I'm going to mix a little of the sunny skin tone in the orange brown and do my final highlight. This is going to be a really small highlight, so you don't actually need to do a lot. Now we are going to move to the sword. This is the last thing that we are going to do. So I'm going to use a royal purple and I'm going to paint the whole sword with this color. So I apply it in two very thin coats until I had a good coverage and that was even all around. Now I'm going to use German Camo Beige and mix it with the royal purple, and I'm going to paint almost the whole area of the sword, and then I'm just going to use the pure color and I'm just going to block one of my first highlights. So I just use like a cutting edge of the sword and then just like maybe on the 1/3 on the sword and on the tip of the sword. And then I'm going to use a contrast color called Iyanden yellow and I'm just going to paint the whole sword with this. So because we have a purple under it, it will look naturally like a shadow. And this will be done for the base of the sword, so only thing that is left is actually to do the highlight. So I'm going to use the flat yellow and I will start glazing it on the top of the sword and on the cutting edge. So if you do this a few times, wait for the paint to completely dry and then repeat it, you will get a really nice tone of the yellow. And then for the last thing, just pick up a white or the ice yellow and do the edge highlight on the cutting edge of the sword. And that's it, guys. I'm going to wrap this video here. I hope you enjoyed. If you'd like to see more of the military orders, please let me know in the comment section down below. And guys, one more request: if you really enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It will mean a lot to me and it will help this channel grow. This will be all for now, guys. Stay safe, take care, and see you soon. Bye bye.